Hi, my name's Emily. I have an Etsy store called Yesterday's Stash, and today I am doing a video on juice extracting filters. I was at my thrift store the other day, and they had this long plastic. It was all encased and enclosed. It had never been used, never been opened. And it said, technically, these are filters for juice extracting, but don't let that limit your imagination. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to use this for something. I'm not quite sure yet what that will be, but this is how it came. And I've used about 35 of them for coffee dyeing. I coffee dye. But anyway, it's very good. You can actually tear it into, if you wanted to make just a little. So I thought I had to bring this home. So I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with them. The first thing that I decided to do was coffee dye some. But what I found was that the strips were so thin that I had to coffee dye them folded over. So that's what I ended up doing, is folding them over like that. And I ended up, doing quite a few. I've been doing some experimenting with different things with it to see what these would be useful for putting in junk journals. So the first thing that I did was I had these maps and this fabric, and I took the pieces of the filter, and I sewed them together on the back side, and kind of did a little, it's not franken, but just quilting or stitching the paper and the fabric together. And what I plan to use them for is junk journal pages. I probably would put something else on the back, but at least it gave me a way to take what I sewed together and have it attached to something. So that's a project for a different day. The other thing that I did was I found sometime back, I found this book. It's called Blossom, and it's by Amy Butler. Not quite sure what year this is. Let me look if it's even in there. But this is the absolute neatest book, 2014 and 15. And it's two books, issue 1 and issue 2. And I actually got 2 of these. I bought 2 by mistake. And it's just got the most beautiful pictures in them, wonderful pages for collaging, and for using as pages in books. I pulled some of the pages out. It is just absolutely a beautiful book. It's hard to cut into them because the pages are so pretty, but what a wonderful addition to a junk journal pages. And I mean, just to paste these together for a glue book would be absolutely beautiful and a wonderful project to do. But what I did was I took a couple of those pages and I pulled them apart and joined them together, and I used a little bit of that filter sort of as a little decor in there. I put some, in various places. I made a little tiny flower out of this. And this is actually, she tells us the name of this temple. It's Karnah or Nak. I'm going to have to look that up. But it is a beautiful, when you take the two and put them together, this is what it, what it looks like. And then this is a picture of an old juniper tree. And she says here Junipers become more and more twisted the further into the vortex hotspots. So that's really interesting. I did not know that juniper trees became, twist depending on, I guess, the heat. And then, so just taking these pictures and doing a variety of things with them. I put some washi tape right here, and I made a pocket right here. And what I did was I took a rub. It was a gold rub, and I put it onto the filter paper, and then I added a piece of acetate to the top to sort of protect not only the paper but also to give this some depth, with strength, and also to protect the rub. So this is just an example of how you can take, and then I took and did a like a little border here on this side. So that is another way that I have been using this book. Now I also am working on a Tim Holtz book, and it's using his paper pack called, let's see, it's called Memorandos. And so I've taken some paper out, and I've been experimenting with how I might use some of his paper for, some of this filter paper for the book that I'm working on. So sometime back, when you go to the thrift store, there's lots of bins, and this is a strip of taped trim that you can just pull off. So I pulled it off, and I put it in between on a strip of the filter paper, and added it to a pocket, what will be a pocket in the Tim Holtz book, and did a couple of rows of stitching on it. And then this paper is with it, and you probably can't see this paper, but this paper has that sort of, I guess you could say it's brick. Yeah, you would call it a brick color. So what I did was I took a stencil and put it on here just to see how it would take stenciling, and it took it great. And then up in the very middle of this sort of stem or whatever, I experimented with putting some French knots, and I also did with the stickles, but the stickles didn't turn out that well. So I don't know if it's that it wants to go through to the paper, that the paper is too porous for the stickles. I also did a decorative stitch using that same color thread. And so that is going to be a tag that goes in my book. Another thing that I have been working on is making belly bands. And this belly band, it's too long, or I could use it as a pocket. I'd probably want to use a piece of cardstock on the back to thicken it up. But it takes the paper, and it's 2 layers, and it sews. I sewed the beautiful piece of lace on top. This I found at 6 1/4 yards for $4, and it is just the most beautiful piece of lace. I didn't realize how wide it was when I got it in the store, because they have it very well wrapped and they have it very well taped. So, but anyway, I could certainly use the paper to use as a pocket or a belly band. So that worked really good. I was able to use the decorative. Then what I found also was that if I take this paper and I do a large stitch down the middle, and then I start to pull one end of this, then it kind of makes a little bit of a crinkle, or crinkle. And so what I did was I took some of that and the crinkle, and I sewed these little patches. Now I call them patches, but really what it is this big piece of upholstery fabric that I happened to find at the thrift store. And it's, I mean, obviously for a very, very large repeat pattern. And it only has the three colors, the fuchsia and the yellow and the purple. And I mean, it is just really a big, thick piece of fabric. This is what the inside looks like. But it was just like, $2 for this huge, long piece. So what I did was I started cutting out some of these little pieces, and I'm going to do something with them. I'm not quite sure. But I certainly can use them for either kind of a quilting sort of a thing. I can put cardboard or cardstock on the back of this and make it into a tag. And take all of these that I have cut out. Some of them I've cut them out much tighter than others, but this can also be sewn together somehow to make a quilted or a franken, or do something, with another, say, complementing fabric. But look at and then these are all the ones that I've cut. But look at the little spaces in between that was able to preserve and use this fabric for other things. So it really is going to turn out nicely. But if you take this and wrinkle it up or pull on that one end and gather it, you can, do quite a few things. You can make it be as tight or as loose as you want. And so that's what I've been working on with those. The same, I did pull out some of the little pieces of the little purple flowers, and I am attempting or trying to make some flowers. I'd probably want to add some sort of like a glitter of some sort, rub it on there to give it some more pizzazz. One thing I don't like about these is that they roll over. So what I may do is take a pair of decorative scissors and cut out and turn these flowers into, something that is a little more. But anyway, this is a work in progress. These are some of the things that I have tried to do. One thing is to take thin pieces of lace, and after I have sewn, gathered, and this is, like where you would, what I did was I took the two layers and I folded it like this. I can cut off as much of this as I want. And I take one of these that has been sewn really, and I start gathering it up, and I'm going to have to find one piece of this that will pull up or draw. But what I did was I added a piece of lace after I had drawn this up just really tight. Then I added a piece of lace, and I think that this is going to have to be about 12 inches, a 12-inch piece, to make a decent flower that goes all the way around. So, if you start like right here and you pinch it and fold it over and keep going like this around, then you can kind of see where you're ending up, getting a flower by just doing a hand pleat. And then once you get it all the way around, then you will, end up cutting off what's excess. So, this is kind of as close as I'm going to get to having this look like a flower just by doing it like that, and you would have to glue it down and hold it, and or take pins or something and clip them together while you are gluing. And then I probably would want to take the excess here and cut it off. So that's as close as I've gotten. I think this is a work in progress. I need a lot more practice. I've also tried taking and pleating it first, and then coming in here and seeing if I can make. But anyway, the point is that this paper is a possibility for making handmade flowers because it is so thin and pliable and can be, can be worked with. And you can add, stem or a big flower or do a cluster of some sort of inside even stitching to make it work. But it all starts with this one this way, or pleating it like this. But when you are pulling, you have to make, you can't pull real hard, and you do want to hold on to one end or keep one end closed so that while you're pulling, you have the protection of it not this thread, this seam not breaking on you, of which it definitely wants to break on you. So, but this is a possibility. One can put all sorts of things on the end to make it turn out to something a nice looking flower. But that's something that I am working on, and I just haven't gotten to the point that it is making quite the flower I would like for it to make. But this paper will really work well for playing with and working with those kinds of flowers. But make sure if you do use any lace that it's very, very thin and doesn't, isn't, just this one little thin layer to work with. Another thing that I have worked on is this particular, I took a piece of this fabric and I sewed the piece of filter to it, and then this piece is, then after I did that, I sewed a piece of acetate over it. But at first, I put this kind of pearlized paper on it, sewed that on there to just give it a little bit of sheen. And then once it ended up, finishing, again, I put the acetate, put the acetate on it, sewed the acetate on it. So this particular one has 2 layers, but you could actually stick something, in here as kind of a, a picture or a photo or something like that, in here. This particular thing here is a game called Game Room Brain Teasers, and it's by a company called Ridley's, and I got this whole set for $1, and it's got all of these brain teaser questions. Some of them are really silly, and some of them don't make any sense at all, and some of them make me feel stupid. What kind of a tree can you carry in your hand? Think about it. What's the name of a tree that you can carry in the palm of your hand? So anyway, these are the kinds of things that I could stick in here. Or other things. But and another way on this side, what I did was I actually have some Tim Holtz fabric that I just acquired, and I don't know if you could see it, but it's a strip here, and then I put the filter paper on the back, and then I actually took Inca Gold. And my Inca Gold, when you look at Inca Gold, the Inca Gold does get dried out, in which case you do have to, I put glycerin and water in my Inca Gold, or actually my these gilded paste. All of these things tend to want to get dried out, and if you put glycerin and water, just a little bit of this is vegetable glycerin, and then add some water to it, it makes this kind of disintegrate and softer. So that's something that I had to work on today when I was working on this particular kit right here, is because or this particular pocket. And there is a little flecks of red in here, so or sort of an orangish red. So this is going to actually be a page in a journal at some point. I did used some of the filter paper and did a pleat, kind of a border here, and then I used it for this and for this pocket. So just lots of ideas, just lots of things can be done to make lots of different things. And I'm, like I say, I'm still experimenting with different things, that I could do to use this paper. But it's just really fun and exciting to work with. These are going to be tags, and I'll probably put either a stitch around it, or maybe I'll put a piece of lace around it or something like that, but definitely they can be used for, and they just have a nice textured look, and it's more of a grunge look, certainly. But anyway, I appreciate your coming along and watching me on this journey as I continue to find things at thrift stores. If you've watched me before, you know that thrift stores are the way that I find items. Very little of what I buy is new, and I'm able to use these items in a variety of different ways. By the way, I was experimenting with it on washi tape, and it really takes washi tape. I usually glue my washi tape, but this is tight enough. I think it just really adheres nicely to washi tape. So that's the thought as well. So please let me know if you have any ideas or what you might come up with. I know I haven't exhausted all my ideas, but after a certain period of time, you feel like, well, what else? What else is there to do? So again, thanks for coming along, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.